Welcome to another new episode of the Declutter Me podcast with myself, Shelina. I hope you are well wherever you are in the world. And thank you, as always, for listening to the Declutter Me podcast. So this week, I was helping a lovely couple to declutter and organise their home office. We found so many cables and cords lying around everywhere, which is normal in all households that I work in. Thankfully, they got rid of a lot of the cables, but we still had a few to keep and to organise. So I thought this would be a great time to discuss this menace at home. So first, get all the cords and cables you have lying around in the house. Check your drawers, your cupboards, the bowls full of junk, floor, everywhere. Cables and cords lie around everywhere. Also find all the plugs as well, because those plugs are everywhere as well. Take them out of the sockets if they haven't got any cables connected to them. Just find all of them. And then put them either into a big box or into on the floor, and then put on Netflix or one of the shows and stuff. And you can do this during the evening while you're watching TV or during the day, or you could do a mini declutter. But so if you want to do a mini declutter, which is spending 10, 15 minutes on these items, do that and then put all the cables into a box. And then you do the next stage, which is to categorize. So categorize all the wires and cables into different types. So the types that I usually see are phone chargers, laptop chargers, adapters and plugs, HDMI cables. I don't know why people like buying so many HDMI cables. You don't need that many. You have them given to you when you buy TVs and consoles and all these things. So I don't know why you have to have so many extra ones, but people do. Also, the other categories are landline and internet wires. Most of us don't need that now. Cables for watches, the electronic watches, TV, gaming, extension cables and sockets, travel plugs and individual plugs, USB, USC, US whatever. Is there a USA and a USD? I don't know, but there's a lot of these type of cables. And then any other cords, because there will be random miscellaneous other cords. Then review each pile. So you can do it doing a mini declutter, as I said before. Declutter any that are broken, not used, still on plastic wrapping from 20 years ago. That's usually, and especially in the Middle East, it's because we get these different types of plugs for different types of sockets. The main plugs we use, like in the UAE, is the British type of plugs, the UK 3-prong plugs. But they give different other ones as well. And then you never use it. So if the wire is still in plastic wrapping, you ain't gonna use it. So just get rid of it. And then also get rid of the cables that you don't use or you don't have the item anymore and you no longer use it. If you have no idea why you have a certain cable, ask someone in the house. If they have no idea, put it in a bag if you don't want to throw it away, like in a Ziploc bag. And then if it's not removed from that Ziploc bag in 3 months, then it's time to remove it from your life. With the phone chargers, connect them to the phones. So like the Nokias, the Blackberries, all that, connect the phone chargers to those phones because you find those phones as well. If you can't connect it to anything, get rid of it. Now, if you have an Apple device like I have a lot of Apple devices. You don't need 10 of those white cables, the USB and USC ones, or USD, I don't know. Anyway, you don't need the millions of them. You don't need 10. You need like one for your bedroom, one for the lounge, one for the kitchen, one for the car, and one for traveling. So there's 5 cables. You don't need 20. Get rid of them. Get rid of them. Please, just get rid of them. You get a new wire every time you buy a new phone. And if you buy a new phone every year or every other year, you've already got the wire. You don't need to buy any extra wires as well. Just don't. Please don't. Anyway, be realistic about whether you will take the data out of your phones, tablets, and laptops. If you haven't done so in all this time, and I think Blackberries are 10 years old now? And you most probably have those Dell and Sony Vaio laptops from 20 years ago. If you haven't taken the data out of there, you never will. So put these old devices and cables into a box. And if you will not deal with them and deal with the data on them, go give it to an electronics company that can remove the data, scrub the data, and recycle these devices. Now, there are some places in the UAE that I have been in touch with before, but it's a bit difficult. but you can always try. And there's always initiatives every so often, and in other countries as well, to take these devices and destroy them and then use the parts for recycling. If you are worried about your data being compromised on these devices, destroy them yourselves. Get a hammer, vent out all your anger, and smash those devices into lots of pieces. And remember to destroy the hard drive and then put them into recycling. So you can put them into plastic recycling and the glass and the metal and everything. Next, look at if you keep in the boxes for all these electronics and the wires and stuff, declutter the packaging for these items. Like if you've had that piece of equipment for longer than, I don't know, a month or two, you probably don't need the box. If you need the serial number on the box, which is most probably on the device as well, but if you need that number, take a photo and label that picture on your phone and then get rid of the box. And you can keep the parts, but if you haven't used the parts for like, say, 6 months or something, you're never going to. With the batteries, the phones, the chargers, etc., recycle them as much as possible. So as I said, local councils and shops and, there's initiatives from governments to have recycling and decluttering things. I mean, there was a supermarket here that was taking batteries for a while. I don't know if they still are, but if they are, then you can dispose of them properly there. So then we've talked about the decluttering and the recycling of all these items. Let's talk about the organizing. So if you're going to keep these cables, you'll need to label them. So buy special labels that you can buy for wires from Amazon, or you can use masking tape and then label these cords. Now, if it's obvious what these cords are for, like say with the Apple ones, it's obvious, then you don't have to label them. But if you don't know what it links to, then make a label. I use Velcro ties to tie cables that are not used often, and I do that for clients as well. But if you use a cable quite often, most probably these Velcro cable ties or any other cable ties will just be a pain in the ass for you, because who can be bothered to take it, put it on, put it off, and it's just a pain in the ass. So if you are lazy and you're not going to tie up cables often, just wrap the cables up and then stick the end of the cable inside, so it's sort of tied together. And that's what I do. And then put the same like for like cords into a Ziploc bag or into one of those zip up bags that you can get, say, from, $1 stores or Daiso. You can also use the Velcro ties to wrap cables together if they're on the desk or on the floor, so that makes less mess around the devices. I also use cable boxes to hide the plugs and extension cables, but make sure that you get the right size box and the right size extension cable to put into the box, because I've done that and it's ended up with me swearing a lot because it's been the wrong size between the box and the extension cord. It's a mind game trying to sort these out. But, so think about that. So if you need to have, especially here, we don't have enough plugs on the wall, so we need to use extension cables. So I have one I have to have 5 plugs plugged in. So then I needed a really big box and I didn't buy the right size box. So I had to give that back and get the right one. So trust me when I say this is a pain in the ass and you really have to think about these things. So I have tried various methods for storing wires, and at the end of the day, it depends on the amount of wires you have, the size of them, the size of your storage area. If you have a drawer, you could put in a honeycomb divider and then put each cable in there. Or you can put the different cables in different small boxes. Or as I said before, you can put them in Ziploc bags or zip up bags. So I put all the cables for Apple in one place, TV and HDMI in another, and adapters and plugs in one box, and then anything for travel in another area as well. And usually I have a travel bag for all the wires that are going with me on travel, and then that goes in the suitcase. So that's a good thing to do as well. So you have a section just for your travel stuff, away from the other cables and cords. You don't have to use a vast amount of organizing boxes and tools to store your wires and cables. So just make sure you can easily find your items in less than 5 seconds and only have what you need and use. So those are my top tips for organizing your cords and cables. If you find it overwhelming to start decluttering and organizing your wires, hire an organizer like myself to get you organized quickly. You can always get in touch with me at www.declutterme.com, and you can follow me on all the social media. Thank you for listening as always, and tune in next week for a next episode. Thanks a lot. Take care. Bye.